sich auf die Tanzfläche bewegen. Und nun geht es los.
You are listening to Däs Bündesliga Show here on the Lock Betting Podcast. You can follow Lock Betting on X at Lock Betting X. That's at Lock Betting X. On that account, we post our monthly profit and loss spreadsheet, and our spreadsheets have accumulated to 127 months in a row of transparent and tracked profit. The P&L from the previous month is always the pin tweet on the page. And at the moment, you can see the month of December. And the month of December was good for £4,450. So an absolute monster month. We're going to make a profit in January again. We had our NFL futures added to the front. We blitzed the Champions League futures in December. And we blitzed NFL futures in January. But it wasn't just because of that. We've had a solid month in general. And we are en route to 128 months in a row. If you want to sign up for the service, head over to lockbetting.com. If you want to ask questions, then once again, the X account is at LockBettingX. That's at LockBettingX. So let's move on with looking at these Bundesliga matches. We start here with the game between Augsburg and Bayern Munich, where Bayern Munich are the 1-3 favourites to win here. It's 9-2 on the draw, and it's 7-1 here on Augsburg. Bayern Munich suffered a huge defeat last weekend, which resulted in Leverkusen and Bayern Munich being neck and neck for the league. Both were available at 10-11. Bayern Munich got themselves a scrappy 1-0 win in midweek, and that made them the favourites once again, only slightly at 8-11. But that wasn't impressive. In fact, off the back of Bayern Munich's performance in midweek, I probably would have moved the line the other way. They come here to Augsburg as a 1-3 favourite, and despite the fact that Bayern Munich have looked poor for 2 games, only scoring 1 goal, I cannot look past Bayern Munich getting right here, because historically, that is what they've done. Bayern Munich have gone on to win titles. They've gone on to destroy teams in Germany. And when you look at the standings at the moment, you can't really make a case for 10th place Augsburg with their -7 goal differential, getting a win against Bayern Munich. Although last weekend, you couldn't also make a case for Bayern Munich losing at home. So stranger things have happened. But here, I believe Bayern Munich will continue to win. Obviously, the line is very short at 1-3 -300. So we are going to tack on over 2.5 goals instead to get us away from that. Over 2.5 goals have been scored in 5 of the last 7 head-to-head meetings between the two, with Bayern Munich actually not keeping a clean sheet in 4 straight games against Augsburg, with BTTS cashing in 5 of the last 7. So they could make a contribution here towards the scoring, which would obviously help us with the over 2.5 goals selection. By tacking this on, you move Bayern Munich from a 1-3 -300 clear favourite to 4-6 -150, still juiced, but certainly a better line here for this game. So we're going to take Bayern Munich with the over 2.5 goals as our first choice here at the price of 4-6 -150. Up next, we move on to their said rivals for the title, Bayer Leverkusen. They're at home to Borussia Mönchengladbach, where Leverkusen are a 1-5 favourite. It's 13-2 on the draw, and it's 10-1 here on Borussia Mönchengladbach. I cannot see past Leverkusen winning this in a game that features goals. I'm going to take Bayer Leverkusen to win, and I'm going to do the same thing that we did with the last game, and I'm going to tack on over 2.5 goals. This team have been seemingly unstoppable this season, but we'll see what happens when we get towards the end, when they are approaching those final hurdles, trying not to hit them and trying not to collapse and choke at the final stages like Borussia Dortmund did last season. Leverkusen, though, have not lost this season. Leverkusen have netted 50 goals in 18 games, so they could be good for the 3 goals we need by themselves here. They've been winners in 15 of the last 18 Bundesliga games, whilst 9 of Borussia Mönchengladbach's last 10 away games have ended with 4 goals or more. So we can confidently tack on the over 2.5 goals here. That gives us an improved price of 8-13. Obviously, it's relatively short. If you want to jump up to over 3.5, you are getting plus money there at 11-10. But I think Leverkusen continue winning. This isn't the week they're going to slip up. I do think that will come towards the end of the season. I do think Bayern Munich's trip to Bayer Leverkusen is actually going to be a title contender, a title decider, because I don't see the two teams dropping much more points. We'll see if Bayern Munich can win that game, and if that is the psychological blow that leads to Leverkusen suddenly moving in the wrong direction. At the moment, gun to my head, I would still pick Bayern because of their pedigree, because of their squad, and because Leverkusen haven't been in this position before. But at the moment, they are going strong, and I'm happy to take them to win the game here in this one. Up next, we look at the game between Union Berlin and Darmstadt, where Union Berlin are the 4-6 favourites. It's 14-5 on the draw, and it's 4-1 here on Darmstadt. Obviously, we're moving on to Sunday here because the Leverkusen game was the late game on Saturday. And I'm going to take a punt on Darmstadt to not lose this game. It's Darmstadt on the double chance market. Can't take Union Berlin as a favourite like this. They've had a dreadful season so far. They've won just 2 of the last 15 Bundesliga matches. So why would I take them at odds on? Darmstadt may be bottom, but they're fighting. They've avoided defeat in 3 of the last 5 Bundesliga away games, and they've taken 5 points during that run. We'll take them to not lose this game at the price of 7-5 here for this one. Final game we cover is Dortmund. They're at home to Bochum, where Dortmund are the 1-3 favourites. It's 9-2 on the draw, and it's 7-1 here on Bochum. Dortmund have been strong since the resumption. It's been nothing to do with Jadon Sancho, who hasn't done anything yet. But I take them to continue winning. They've started the year with purpose and a hot pursuit of the top 4 in the Bundesliga, and I see them comfortably winning here against Bochum, who themselves have leaked 34 goals. I'm happy to do what we did with the first 2 games and tack on over 2.5 goals here, and thinking that Dortmund could actually score those 3 goals by themselves. They've won 2 Bundesliga games this season, and they've done it by an aggregate this year, since the resumption, and have won those 2 games by an aggregate of 7-0, whilst Bochum, they've only won 4 games this entire Bundesliga season. This Dortmund side are averaging 2.06 goals per game in the German top flight, and they don't usually keep clean sheets, but they've kept 2 in a row so far. So perhaps this will be a game where Bochum make a contribution. Even if they don't, I think they can score 3 goals by themselves. So I'm happy to do what we've done twice already on this show, and that's to take a team to win, a favourite to win, which is Dortmund, and to tack on over 2.5 goals, which gives us a big jump actually from 1-3 on Dortmund to Dortmund and over 2.5 goals at 4-5, minus 125 here for this one. Closing out with your lock on the show. I love Leverkusen in over 2.5 goals, but I do think it is a little bit too short. So we'll go with the latter play instead. We'll ride the hot hand with Borussia Dortmund. This play has cashed in both of their games so far since the resumption, and we'll take 3 in a row here for Dortmund. So that's going to be our lock. Our lock here on this show is going to be Borussia Dortmund with over 2.5 goals tacked on at the price of 4-5 minus 125. That's it for me and this edition of Däs Bündesliga Show. Don't forget, we have a bonus episode this weekend. We have a bonus edition of the Fight Show covering WWE Royal Rumble. I've not put that on the lock betting feed. Usually I do one show with one show for the Sports Gambling Podcast and one show with Cav. Because I'm in the US for the Royal Rumble, me and Cav could not get our shit together. So there is no separate Royal Rumble show for lock betting. So it's going to be the one on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. So be sure to check out the Fight Show if you want to get your Royal Rumble preview. I will not be talking about the Vince McMahon situation on there if you're interested in that. I will be talking about that on the Dirty Sheets. The Dirty Sheets is usually a subscription show, but I will be releasing that show for free. So you're certainly going to get your wrestling fix this weekend across the Sports Gambling Podcast Network and across the Dirty Sheets as well. So be sure to check out both shows. That's it for me. Good luck with all of your bets as always, guys, and thanks for listening.